Want to remind you quickly on how you can do measures of central tendency in Desmos. Very often you'll be asked questions about the mean, the median, maybe the standard deviation. So wanted to make sure you were comfortable in how to plug that information in. First is how you actually type in your numbers. If you're given a list of numbers, maybe they're the ages of everyone in your class, maybe they're the heights of everybody or test scores, whatever it might be, make sure you can type that data in correctly. So that we start off by using a letter because we have to basically give our group of data a name. So I would just recommend starting with the letter A, then typing the equal sign, and then I'll show you here on the screen what you're going to select here. It's very important that you select the correct a bracket symbol. So if you press the ABC, you want to use the square brackets when you're typing your data. If you use parentheses or if you use the squiggly brackets, it is not going to work. So anytime you're entering data that you want to find mean, median, range, quartiles, standard deviation, you use the square brackets. So you can either click that here on the on-screen keyboard, or you can find that key right next to the P on your computer keyboard. Um, so once you've pressed the square bracket, now we can type in our data. The only thing you have to do here is separate your data with commas. So let's say we're talking about a group of freshman students. So we were saying maybe they're 14 years old, another a 15-year-old, maybe a young 13-year-old. See, I'm putting commas. Another 14, another 15, another 14, another 14, and another 15. Okay, so first of all, this 8 here just tells you how many people that you've counted. So I have 8 people in this list. It doesn't tell me anything about it yet. It just tells me that there's 8 of them. So the things that we're going to ask you for are things like mean and median and standard deviation, or even quartiles, or minimums or maximums. And all of those things can be found on the on-screen keyboard. So if you click on the on-screen keyboard, and then what you want to click on next is the functions key right here in the top right hand corner. And then once you've selected the functions, these are all measures of central tendency, stats. So you click right there on stats. So the main ones that you're going to be using are the mean, the median, maybe the minimum and the maximum if you're not sure which one's the smallest or the biggest. Quartiles you'll use a little bit. You won't use quantile and you won't use standard stdev, but you will use stdevp. Very important that you remember to use stdevp, not stdev. There's a slight difference between that you don't quite understand yet, but you would learn at a later date. So important if we wanted to find all of these measures of central tendency, let's start with the mean. So once I click mean, all I have to type in now is the letter A. Since I use the letter A to represent these numbers, when I type the mean of A, it tells me that my mean is 14.25. If I want to find the median, you could go back or you could just type in the word median and then type A again. So my median is a little bit lower than my mean. It's 14. A few others that you might want to be able to find, you might want to be able to find the lower quartile. So if you were to type the lower quartile, not here on that list, but you would click on quartile. And this one you have to be careful. You type A, but then it's still going to say, well, which quartile are you looking for? Well, I'm looking for the first quartile, so I type 1. If you were looking for the third quartile, then you would type 3. So our first quartile is 1 and our third quartile is 15. The most important one, or one of the most important ones, would be the mean and the median. The last one that you would want to be able to find would be your standard deviation. So remember, we want stdev p, not stdev, but stdev p. And again, we're going to type the letter A. So here you can see that our standard deviation is 0.6614, so on and so forth. That measures how spread out our data is. So the last thing that I want to kind of show you is that very often we'll ask questions on how the mean changes or how the median changes or how the standard deviation changes when we include new numbers or even exclude current numbers. So we've talked about this in class, but think about the fact that if you were to include maybe my age in our list of ages here, we should be already have a conceptual understanding that the mean is going to go up because when we include a number that is higher, it's going to change. So in the next video, I'm going to show you how you can change those in real time. This video is just to show you how you would